So a little game I've been playing at the moment, which is quite fun. I've got a friend who introduced me to this website called What Do They Know? Emphasis on the them, the mysterious ones who have no name. They're just called the they. And this website is a public freedom of information website where you send off a question and you require a response, basically, as your public servants. So I think a lot of people should use this correctly. I don't know. I haven't really gone into it. I've literally just used it, but I've had a few looks at some questions, and people seem to think they're going into a massive waffle of text and intellectual blurb of a question will get a concise answer. Now, the best way to ask a question is to ideally to get a yes or no answer to confirm what you want, or it's an open question like what, tell me, why. All the open questions that require a response that isn't a yes or no answer. Like, did you go to the cinema on the weekend? Yes. Or you could say, tell me what you did on the weekend. Well, I went to the cinema and da 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 da. Yeah, so there's ways of questioning that can open up people. Just how our languages are arranged or organised. So that you can get some quite interesting things. But the point of what I'm trying to say is just keep your questions one sentence, really really quick and easy. So I've registered with this website, and there were some questions that I had in my mind. I wasn't really quite clear as I wanted to be, so I thought, let's ask these questions that I think I know the answer to. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to, and we're going to send it back at them and see what they say. So this is my question at the top. So it's to whom it may concern. Now they start off to the Ministry of Justice. Now, I've said in previous videos about to Ministry of Justice is like saying to the dustbin in my house, or to the house itself. It's a noun. Yes. So to whom it may concern, it's more of a pronoun, as in a whom is an actual living, breathing, my fellow man thing out there. Yeah, so to whom it may concern. So delete that to the Ministry of Justice nonsense. And you write, to whom it may concern. What is the highest court of the land? Yours faithfully, whatever. I think they put that in there. I'll use that just for giggles. And then obviously me. So then, now this is what they do. So that Her Majesty, this has gone to the Ministry of Justice, okay. And then Her Majesty's Court and Tribunal Service, Court Service Correspondent, who's probably an agent acting on behalf of the Ministry of Justice, is all I can say. So the Ministry of Justice is the Ministry of Justice. So Her Majesty's Court and Tribunal Service is probably an entirely separate corporation set up to administrate the office of that's delegated to it by the Ministry of Justice. So again, now notice what they do, and they invariably always do this when you're corresponding with any government entity, any crown entity. Now that's a title, so they've attached a title to me. Now they might be doing it out of respect, they might be doing it out of a presumption that I'm part of their society, they might be doing it because they assume that I am a member of their society, and therefore they're responding to me in the proper manner. Yeah, right. But I'm always trying to make the point that I'm just flesh and blood man on the planet, and you just happen to be the people in charge of the government at this particular time for my benefit. But they'll very rarely speak to you of your name if you give it to them as such. So anyway, let's overlook the fact they called me Mr. Smith. Thank you for your email. The Supreme Court of the United Kingdom is the highest appeal court in the land. Now, let me translate that for you. Is the House of Lords used to be the highest appeal court in the land, where all those stuffy hereditary peers would be sitting. The most educated, the well-to-do people in our society, all the ancient relatives of God knows who from God knows when, and they would sit in the House of Lords just to ensure that chamber was almost like a check and balances of the Commons, as the Commons and the Lords are the checks and balances of the despotism of any king that might arise. So so she's changed my question. I said, "What's the highest court in the land?" Yeah, and she says the Supreme Court. Capitalisation here again. I didn't use any capitalisation. So the Supreme Court being a court made up for the benefit and use of a certain rules of the United Kingdom, the same thing again, is the highest appeal court in the UK. So the United Kingdom and the UK. So why didn't she write the United Kingdom again? It's an abbreviated version, which is quite bizarre. But anyway, so she's completely ignored what I've actually asked her. I said, what's the highest court in the land? Oh, the Supreme Court, which is the House of Lords, the former House of Lords, is of the United Kingdom. Now, the United Kingdom's like a legal decree of the status of the kingdom, of Scotland, England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. As the highest appeal court in the UK. And the UK, I believe, is a reference to the corporation. Kind regards, Tom. Now, Tom, he's responded to me as I wrote to him as Anthony Smith. So Tom Pateman, blah 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 blah. Okay, so that's interesting how they always respond. They don't respond as Mr. Pateman or Mr. T. Pateman. It's just Tom. Hi, it's Tom. So like the casual manner that I've approached them, they respond. They give me the formal meet greeting back, and then the casual sign on the dotted line at the end of this. Is that not a salutation? So it's like the sign-off of their letter. So obviously I come back to that being a smart ass that I am. To Tom, you always thank people for their presence. He's taken the time to present his answer to me. So you say, thank you for your reply. So any letter you get, I'd always recommend, and sometimes you can put the date on there as well, especially if it's in written form. I believe you have misunderstood my question. I didn't mention the United Kingdom. One asked, I, the man, asked what was the highest court of the land, and I've put in brackets people there just to give him a question mark. Best wishes. Now Tom's gone now. Customer Investigations Officer. Interesting. So, dear Mr. Smith, again, thank you for your further email. The Her Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Services are responsible for the administration of criminal, civil, and family court matters. Yeah, so criminal being breaches of peace and crimes that the king would normally be involved with. Civil is like citizen on citizen. They sometimes refer to it as subject on subject. And family courts is where people need daddy to come in and sort out their issues, much like the Charlie Gard case going on. Excuse me, cough. Still sick. So that's basically the courts, the areas that they have jurisdiction over. The Tribunal of England, tribunals is an interesting word. That again comes back to Roman law, where the magistrates would have to keep an eye out to make sure that the nobles or the well-to-dos of society wouldn't have undue sway over the plebs. And in fact, a magistrate and the tribunal particularly was the thing that protected the plebs from being run over at court. Which unfortunately, I know as crazy as that sounds, it seems to have gone out the window in our modern state of government in terms of looking after the plebs. The tribunals in England and Wales, we can only comment on UK courts. That means UK courts. Now she's going back, if I mention it up with the previous email I just said, the UK would be the UK government. That's the corporation courts. I can only comment on the UK, like the corporation courts. If you require information on courts outside of the UK corporation government, you may wish to seek independent advice because it's outside of my ability to comment. Kind regards, Karen Hamilton. There we go. Boom. So obviously, as soon as she did that, I said, "Thank you. You've answered." It's not by what she said; it's by what she's not said. Has completely answered my question there. But there we go. A little bit of fun and games with these people. So there we go. I hope you don't need any more explanation than that. And if you do, please do some more research. But I thought that made me laugh this morning.